Nintendo has won their piracy lawsuit. So, this is coming from The Verge. Quote, Nintendo has won its legal battle against D-Storage, the French company it accused of hosting pirated games on its file-sharing site, OneFichier.com. In a press release sent to outlets like Eurogamer and GBA Temp, Nintendo says a French court agreed that OneFichier.com is liable for failing to remove or block access to unauthorized copies of Nintendo games stored on its platform. In 2021, a Paris court ordered D-Storage to pay Nintendo $1.13 million for failing to remove pirated games despite warnings from Nintendo. Though D-Storage appealed this decision, the court ultimately sided with Nintendo. The company later brought the case before the highest French judiciary court, which has now ruled against D-Storage as well. Quote, Nintendo is pleased with the court's findings of liability against D-Storage and believes that it is significant not only for Nintendo, but for the entire games industry. Nintendo said in its press release, it adds that the decision will prevent share hosters like OneFichier.com from claiming they need a court order to follow through on requests to remove copyrighted content. End quote. So, here's the thing. When a game is currently available on the market and the money is going to go towards the developers in some way or another, like if it's one of those situations where the game is available on the market, the developer and publisher are still open, then yeah, I think you should just buy the game outright. But if it's a situation where the game is still available, but the developer's been shut down and then there's some money things beyond the waters, I'm not telling anybody to sail the seven seas, but I could understand morally why you do that. But then for other games that are just completely not available to buy anymore, literally sailing the seven seas is your only option. So again, I'm not telling anybody to do anything one way or another. I'm just talking about piracy from a morality perspective. Now, if this only affects, what is this going through? The Nintendo games stored on its platform. I don't know if this just applies to Nintendo games in general or Nintendo Switch games, but I'm sorry. It should only apply to Nintendo Switch games. If it applies to other things like, say, NES games or SNES games or GameCube games or Wii games or whatever, especially the ones that aren't available to actually buy and own outside of a subscription service. You know, I know NSO is there, but that's not the same thing as owning the game. And I'm sorry, I'm not telling anybody to sail the seven seas. Please, Nintendo or legal officials, don't come after me. But I wouldn't blame anybody for doing so, because there's no way to actually buy the games. You know, if these companies would just run reprints of those old cartridges and discs, they'd make so much more money, the consumers would be so much happier, the secondhand market would be so much healthier on like eBay and Mercari and all that. You wouldn't be paying hundreds of dollars just for a copy of Pokemon, you know, like Coliseum. But I don't know, that's just my take on all of it. Hopefully this just applies to Switch games, because to that extent I'm like, alright, you know what, it's literally available. Like at that point, just save up some money, go support the developers, you know what I mean? But again, if this applies to all Nintendo games and platforms, I don't know about that one. The files will always be floating around. There will always be ways to get your hands on these games, even if certain sites shut down. It just kind of depends on how sketchy you're willing to get, which, I mean, for video games, I'm willing to get as sketchy as I need to in order to play the games that I love, you know what I mean? But yeah, if anything else comes out of this, I'll definitely let you guys know.